What does DOTA mean to you? Dota 2 is a video game. That's all I know, and I'm assuming that's all you know too. I've heard things about it, mainly that it can be an addictive experience, but I recently learnt that millions of people around the world watch tournaments for the game constantly. And with this many people watching the game in stadiums and online, we should probably know more about it. And that's my goal. To learn about Dota and the effect it has on the people who play it. We speak to an amateur Dota team named TSAS, who have members around the globe. All of the team agreed to be interviewed either in person or video call to help give us some insight into their world. Right, what does TSAS stand for?
TSAS stands for the Super Awesome Squad, but we tend to just stick to the acronym.
So with that out of the way, let's head to Swansea, where we'll be visiting the home of two members of TSAS, Pappy Taco and Jay. A third member, Spoink, will be joining us for the interview. Let's start with basics. Where did TSAS come from?
It was me, you, and Captain Jimballs, aka Jimballs, aka Jim, aka James.
Yeah.
His nan calls him that. And it was Modern Warfare 2 was the game that we started on, wasn't it? It was me and you originally, I think. And I think Jimballs, because it was on Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Then Jimballs got Xbox 360, I think, after we started playing.
I mean, we were always playing as a team of three, really. We were always sort of trying to work together, and we never really saw like a team coming, did we? Or
no, but I think the thing was that we kind of try-harded it so much.
Yeah.
We really wanted to work as a team in a game that didn't really allow you to work as a team.
Yeah, we were always just trying to, we were looking up. Do you remember we were looking up like those guerrilla hands,
guerrilla tactics,
and the like the hand signs,
hand signals, and stuff
for
like
like
that.
spotting.
I can't actually remember how Dota came around.
No, I know for me it was literally I was bored. I was like, what's free to play? I found Dota and I thought, a lot of people play this. Like, it was one of the most popular, like I think maybe number 2, number 3.
Yeah, I'd always
on
seen
the
it.
Steam list. Yeah, but I'd sort of downloaded it on an off chance and dragged you into it shortly after, really. But we only really ever had our first team was when you got Jamie involved and I had Jamie and Mike.
Yeah, so we had 2 Jamies and we had Mike as well.
Yeah, our communication was awful with the 2 Jamies.
Yeah, the Jamies thing was
that
difficult.
That was really hard.
Yeah, so that was the original TSAS lineup. But none of us were very good at all.
No, we were all very awful.
It was very early days.
I remember there was a point where it was so early that we were like, I've seen a lot of people have roamers, and we don't really have that. Maybe we should try and look at a roaming role, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I remember that, and then I thought that I'd take the reins on that roaming thing, but it sort of became Jamie's thing now, hasn't it?
Yeah. What would kind of happen is we'd meet new people, and more people would start wanting to play with us. So it would be more and more difficult to get people in when we were playing as a 5. Because it became sort of a first come first serve thing, didn't it? Like, if someone wanted to get in, if they asked, they were like in the 5, ready to play. But yeah, a lot of the people who did kind of join us as well have kind of adopted the TSAS tag at one point or another.
Yeah.
Sometimes I kind of get rid of them if they don't play with us for a while, but
yeah.
And then we've met, I guess, high-ranking TSAS kind of community members like Banana, Toria, Haberglabo, stuff like that. All people we've just met in game that have kind of gone on to have the TSAS tag at one point or another.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course we got Josh as well, Benzetti, who's our team captain.
Yeah, he joined just before Christmas, was it?
Yeah, so I'd known him for a while, but he posted, he replied to a comment on Facebook that I posted about Dota, and he started playing with us, and he was a fair bit better than us. And so I guess he kind of took us under his wing. Yeah, and it's when Josh joined that we kind of had this new dynamic, isn't it? We started to win some games, we started to.
And we learned a lot.
Yeah, we learned a lot, and we started to play the games in a bit more of a professional way and kind of.
Yeah, I think we also sort of actually took objectives on board, really.
Yes, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And so that kind of changed the whole dynamic of what kind of TSAS was starting to become. It was. I think Josh joining is probably the moment it started turning more towards this could be something a bit more serious than what it is. And so with Josh came Kilbacker, who is our fifth member, aka Mittens.
Yeah, presidential Mittens.
El Presidente.
Yeah.
So that's our current five. It's me, Connor, Jamie, Josh, and Kilbacker, who lives in America.
Now we know where TSAS came from, I think we should ask how much time they put into Dota 2.
In the game, I currently have 4,086 hours.
I have around 2,200 hours in the game.
In the game, I've played about 3,100 hours.
Currently, I have 2,000 hours.
I have 3,400 hours.
In total, that's 14,786 hours. In other words, long enough to drive to the moon, realise you've forgotten something, go back to Earth to get it, and then drive all the way to the moon again, and have time to spare. We sat down with Annabelle, a friend of Habitako and Jay, to see what she thinks about Dota.
I don't really know much about it. It's just something that I know takes over a lot of people's lives. Going back to first year of uni, when you would knock on their doors and they wouldn't answer you, but you knew they were up because they were playing Dota, and they wouldn't come out of their rooms because they were so in the zone and they didn't want to ruin the game. I don't think it's dangerous, I suppose. I suppose it depends what your class as dangerous and what your boundaries are really for that. I definitely think that they have no sense of reality sometimes, and they can spend hours thinking they've only been on it for 10 minutes. And I think in the future, when they look back, they'll be like, what did you do with your time? Oh, I spent all my time on the computer. And that's not really giving you anything to, say. How I'd like to describe it is, say somebody, I think Dota's like a hobby, football's like a hobby. You play a football match, you go training, but you only go training for a couple of hours a week. Where Dota, there is no set, I'm going to play for 1 hour, because 1 hour goes to 2 hours, 3, and there's no control. Where a football match or a football game, you go, you finish training, you come back, and that's it. You're not constantly being surrounded, because it's on your computer, it's so accessible, so there's no end to it. There's always, oh, I'll play another game, oh, I'll play another, it's fine, and then a week's gone, 2 weeks gone, there's no finish. When you want to do something with somebody that plays Dota, they can choose Dota over doing something physical, like going to the cinema, because for them that's what they enjoy, but it's quite lonely. I know you connect with people and you speak to people online and everything, and I get that sort of social aspect, but at the same time, if you're not actually socialising with people, people get annoyed, people get fed up, they won't bother with you, and your friendships die.
It's been kind of a constant theme, to be honest, throughout my Dota career, I guess, is that people tell me that I'm addicted and that I need to focus on this, focus on that, stop playing so much Dota. I would say that there have been points where I have been kind of more addicted than not, but I mean, I think the important thing is that Dota has never stopped me from submitting an assignment, and it's never stopped me from going to work, and it's never stopped me from kind of getting stuff done. So while I can see where people come from, in that sometimes I do end up neglecting kind of people a little bit in order to play Dota, and sometimes I'll play Dota for hours and not speak to people and stuff like that. So I can see where people are coming from, but I wouldn't say it's so much an addiction as just like a hobby that I really enjoy partaking in.
I think I have been accused of being addicted to the game, yeah. I don't think I'm as addicted as I was before, but definitely. I think sometimes you just choose the game over doing other things. It depends, like, priorities and stuff. But there has been times before where I was like, I'll just like play Dota sometimes. Like, I probably should be doing work, but other times, as you do.
Dota's actually really nice in the fact that you can drop it and pick it up as much as you want. Definitely, if you really are trying to push your MMR and get better at the game, it does have a time commitment. But for the most part, if I get sick of the game, I can take a break, come back, work back up to where I was before. So depending on what I have going on in my life, I can fit Dota around it, drop it, pick it up as I please. When I was playing in college, during my first few years, like my friend who lived down the hall, who played League of Legends, ironically, said I was addicted to Dota, and then proceeded to play more hours in League of Legends than me. So, but I wouldn't call it an addiction.
Loads of times, family, friends, you name it, they've accused me of being addicted. It's hard to say that I'm not addicted, because I am. I don't feel like I am, but I know I am. When you're playing in tournaments and such, if you've had or suffered from a really bad loss, you can sort of wonder for a few days what you could have done to make it better, to maybe have won. There have been times where I'm supposed to be studying, and instead I'm thinking about or playing Dota instead. It's one of those games where you can make like really great friendships, or you can break them severely. It's the one problem that a lot of people come across with Dota is that it really can bring out the worst in people, and that can really sort of affect your relationship outside of the game, because if they're like that inside, then are they like that outside as well? I know that I can sometimes become a bit of a recluse and ghost people to play the game instead, but I think that's just part of the whole addiction, isn't it?
So some members of TSAS certainly think they're addicted, but what is addiction? Addiction, as defined by the Cambridge Dictionary, is the need or strong desire to do or to have something, or a very strong liking for something. A hobby, on the other hand, is an activity that someone does for pleasure when they are not working. Which leads me to ask, can you be addicted to a hobby? And if so, is that even a bad thing? Football, a hobby watched by billions of people every year, sells out stadiums and pays its players millions to play. Fans travel across the world to watch their country and favourite team play for trophies and accolades. Famous for its hooligan culture in the UK and its die-hard fandoms, is the average football watcher addicted? One way people define an addiction, apart from time invested, is through money spent on the activity. Research shows that the average fan of the top 12 teams in the Premier League spends £50.49 per game during the season. With the teams playing 38 games each, that's £1,918 over 10 months. How much of our Dota players spent over their lifetime on Dota?
Approximately £225 in-game.
$456.56.
£537 or dollars.
Yeah, so that's over $1,000
Yeah.
that we
Yes.
spent on the game.
Good job,
Over
guys.
$1,000. Yeah.
I think I've spent about $630 on the game.
$767.
Looks like it's time to do some more maths. When added together, we get $2,615. Throw in the current exchange rate and we get £1,882. Let's do a comparison. The average football fan spends £1,918 per season. The average TSAS player spends £376.40 every 20 months. So are these Dota players addicted? And is that even the right question? I understand anyone can be addicted to a hobby. Maybe it's the degree that's important. And as we've seen, if this is an addiction, it pales in comparison to others. So now I want to know, why play this game?
I've made lots of friends through Dota and met lots of people through Dota, so I think it does have the power to kind of create that friendship as well, which is kind of just as powerful as, you know, people feeling unhappy about you playing the game. You know, it's kept kind of me and Connor together as well through, like, because obviously Connor moved away for university, and, you know, we still kind of bond over Dota every day, and yeah, and it means you get to meet new people, so I think it's great to bring people together.
There's a lot of factors. I'd say firstly there's probably the amount of time that I've put into it. It's not something that you can just stop and leave. It's not. I've invested so much of my time to learning how to play the game that I don't think I could simply move on to something else. I think another part of it is probably the instant gratification that you get from games, you know. The sort of, you do something, you win, you feel good, and then you go and do it again. You play a game, you win, you feel good, you know, that sort of thing. And just, I'm also quite competitive in my nature. I do want to be really good at the game, you know. If it weren't for the fact that I have studies that I also have to commit to, then I'd probably spend most of my time looking to become, you know, good enough at the game to maybe consider going pro.
We joke around in game and sometimes we get at each other a little bit, but I think in general it's probably best. Dota's a big conversation topic, so after we finish playing at goodness knows what, like whatever time we finish, we always end up talking for a good like half an hour longer or 45 minutes longer just about the game.
We've made good friends out of just like joining random solo games. Like I know that
we can name people.
Yeah, like
Isaac, Banana,
Muko, Luke, yeah.
Luke.
In the game, being able to improve, like you can definitely see your progression as a player very clearly in those first sets of games, and being able to have, you know, just us two having a great time, diving into this game, not taking it as seriously as we have to like properly compete, but just, you know, learning it together. It was like a solid 2 or 3 months where it was just an absolute freaking blast every game.
I think me and Quebec have just known each other for years. We've just gone through, we've played so many games together. I started Dota before him, but he was a really big part of why I continued to play Dota. Just me and him were hanging out. I taught him how to play. He taught me how to play better, like all of that kind of stuff. Like we just together, I think, and personally, like as a personal relationship, we get on really well outside of the game. We've always got on really well outside the game. Like he's helped me through some hard times and stuff like that.
This documentary didn't go very deep into Dota or into the TSAS community, but that's because if there's one thing I've learned from talking and interviewing these players, it's that Dota can mean so many different things. Competition, friendship, it can be something you just fall into. And I think at the end of it all, Dota seems to be whatever you want it to be. Making my final question, what does Dota mean to you?
Friendship.
Lifestyle.
Community.
Friendship.
Community.